Welcome everyone to our Power Thinking, rejuvenating your amazing mind training for Wednesday. It's July 15, midway through July already, as we are now going into the second half of the year of 2026 very, very aggressively. But I'm happy that you are taking the time to, just kind of be part of what we do. Just hang in, check in, and as a result of being with us, you will find yourself building the necessary strengths and skills of resilience so that when, not if, but when life throws that curveball, you're ready. You're ready to hit it out of the park and not be hit with that ball. Or if you are hit, you're able to bounce back a lot faster. I use that because baseball. I think it was the All-Star game in Philadelphia. There's World Cup competition. There's all these competitions where they are the word resilience is kicked around a lot. A team that's expected to lose winds up winning in dramatic fashion, and it happens in all sports. It also happens in life in general. Folks who may be considered down and out, and they make a comeback, and it speaks to the power that we all have, that we can tap into to overcome any of life's obstacles. So our job here is to help you build these skills so that when life throws a curveball, you're ready. In the state of Pennsylvania, various parts of Pennsylvania, we had severe, as well as the United States of America, we had this severe weather with strong winds and trees being toppled, hitting property and destroying property, major floods. But these are the kinds of things that happen in the blink of an eye, and all of a sudden, life changes dramatically. A health issue. There are loved ones who are here. You've heard of what, despite your politics. I mean, we were surprised over the weekend. Person just came back from the Ukraine, met with the president of Japan, of Ukraine, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, comes back, was feeling tired, and, a short time later is gone, just like that. You don't get another shot at this. And so that's why I'm so proud that you're with us to make sure that as we go through this thing called life, that we are ready to respond favorably when we're hit in any number of ways. So we appreciate each and every one of you, and especially appreciate those folks who are on our Power Thinking Corp app, who are getting, those notifications throughout the course of the day, not only in what we do with resilience and psychology, but what we do with finance as well. So appreciate you. Today, we focus on one of our foundational concepts, and that concept is called learned helplessness. It's called learned helplessness. And I have with me as a co-host, Layla Llewellyn, who's out on the West Coast, and she joins us typically in the mornings and evenings. And in the mornings, of course, right now it's about 4:34 out there on the West Coast, and she's here with us. Now, we may have some technical difficulties. Layla, can you hear me okay? And her camera went out, but we'll get it back. And if you'd like, Layla, to join online and hit that *6, you can do that as well, and we can have the conversation if you can hear me okay. So we may have a technical difficulty on our visual, but you can certainly hit that call in on the number. Hit that *6, jump into the queue, and we can have a dialogue there and get your views. So as we share with you this powerful foundational concept called learned helplessness, we shared a video called Learned Helplessness Experiment. Why people stop trying. And I see Coach Carrie Willis who will flash her comment on the screen. Learned helplessness is a real phenomenon. It sure is. It sure is. And so thank you for that. And Coach Carey, thank you for having me on your program. We're going to be showing clips from that program which happened last Saturday. And I really was honored to be your guest. Had great questions. It was an hour long. The entire interview is on Coach Carey Willis's page on LinkedIn and on YouTube, or her YouTube channel, and we'll be showing clips from that interview. Yesterday, I did an interview with a person, Suraj from India, who had a podcast that was all about leadership. So appreciated that opportunity as well. And tonight we will have a new member as a co-host. We have Layla Llewellyn this morning, and hopefully we'll be able to hear from her. We certainly can hear from you as well. Feel free to hit that *6. So we shared with you the video on learned helplessness. You've heard, for those of you who've been with us for some time, you've heard us talk about learned helplessness. Love to get your thoughts about the experiment that was done back in the late 60s by Dr. Seligman and his colleague. What did you think about that? Certainly today, an experiment like that probably wouldn't go on because it would be considered cruelty to dogs, giving them electric shocks. So love to get your thoughts about that. Feel free to hit that *6. What did you think about the video that we shared? And again, tonight we'll have as a co-host Rochelle Hannah, who is a new member just within the past couple of weeks, and she'll share her perspectives on learned helplessness. So were you able, first thoughts on the video, hit that *6, and if you're on LinkedIn, leave your comments. We'll be exiting before 8 a.m. so that our demo can air at 8 a.m. Feel free to hang in and watch that on LinkedIn or YouTube. So what did you think about learned helplessness and the experiments were done with dogs and giving them electric shocks and so forth? And then, have you ever helped anyone that you felt was in that or suffering from that particular condition, learned helplessness, where they felt powerless? And even though you look at them and you talk to them and you say, no, you can make it. Things can change. And they just don't believe it. There are many people that may not, be housed, and they may have this deep-rooted belief that, for whatever reason, this is where they're going to be, and it's just the way it's going to be. I remember having a breakfast with someone who headed up the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disabilities for the city of Philadelphia, Carla, who's been an HR director for many years and may have hired Dr. Arthur Evans, who's gone on to head up, be the CEO of the American Psychological Association. And so we were on a panel together about 10 years ago, and afterwards we talked, and we got together for lunch, and he talked about the possibility of having me put together a proposal that would help the folks who are unhoused. And because it goes beyond just not having shelter, but it gets deep into, some psychological elements and some of the things that we talk about, perhaps learned helplessness that folks have fallen into for one reason or another. So we did get that put together, and then he moved on to be the CEO of the American Psychological Association. So so that's a really good thing. So hit that *6. Learned helplessness. This was an experiment, and I see Olu there. Olu, I'm going to get to you in a sec, and then hopefully, if Layla, if you can hear me, join us on the phone line and hit *6, and then I can get you in from the phone lines and get your views. So I see Layla. So Layla, let me just go to you first, and I see Lindsay and Olu. We'll get to you. Layla, let me just unmute you here. There you are. Welcome. Thank you for being my co-host this morning. I really appreciate it.
Yes, no problem. It's my pleasure, Stan. Thank you for asking me. I don't know what happened with the live stream when I tried to go on, but anyway, the camera wasn't working, so I'm on the phone lines,
Great.
and I guess that's part of our resiliency, right?
There you go. You got it. You didn't just say, "Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Let's just call it a day." You found another way. You're on the phone line, so we still have you. We just don't have you visually, but we'll do that another time. So, Layla, talk a little bit about yourself, and thank you for being a longtime member of Power Thinking. Talk a little bit about what you do. People may have heard your name, but may not know quite, what you do to help other folks. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Stan. I'm so happy to be a part of Power Thinking, and I've been a part of Power Thinking for a few years, but I typically come on in the mornings and in the evenings, and I'm just going to kind of reiterate what Carla has said. I come on in the mornings, I hear what's being said, and to be a practitioner of the skills that we learn, I come on in the afternoons too. Anyway, I'm on the West Coast. I'm an educational consultant. Pretty much basically what I do right now is I help doctors and patients with interpretation. So I'm bilingual. I speak English and Spanish, so I help with patients. But I also help people with their career development, and I coach them with that. I want to say I'm very familiar with Learned Helplessness, and I'll give an example. I was teaching some courses in workforce development a few years ago when I lived in Delaware, and students had to get a 9.0 on the test that they gave. Anyway, long story short, one young lady was screamed to come into my class, and she goes, "Well, I don't do math. I can't do math. I've never done math." Well, and I said, "Just give me a couple of weeks and let's work together." And the classes were 6 weeks long. And within the second week, she was on the board doing math problems and felt quite confident in doing that. So I just have to say that, students can learn helplessness if they get negative feedback from teachers and parents. And I also worked at a university where students were provisionally admitted because they didn't have quite the GPA and the SAT scores to enter the university. And many of them, learned that they couldn't perform. And after the first year, we worked with them, we had mentors, we gave them remedial classes, and they performed just well. And they excelled in their programs. Many of them have gone on to work with really wonderful companies. I have one young man who's working for Microsoft right now. So it's really, you can overcome your learned helplessness. Martin Seligman wrote the book Learned Helplessness. He coined that phrase, but he also wrote a book called Learned Optimism. And if you'd like to learn about what counteracts learned helplessness, learned optimism is one of those things. And I think I've probably talked enough. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Layla. And we'll be going back to you, once we hear from some other folks. So really appreciate that. But how many times have you had heard about in school? And Layla dealt with many environments, in school and healthcare. And, I can recall a number of folks, in their adult years, going back to when they were in high school, and maybe a counselor saying to them, I don't think your college material or I think you may have a better career doing this, and they may have their own biases at play there. Um, and folks, maybe perhaps they didn't do well academically, so as opposed to a counselor saying, well, let's work on how we can turn that around, they would simply say, hey, well, this is who you are, this is where you are, and then that person internalizes it. So yeah, learned helplessness is a thing. We have a few other folks on the line. Let's start one by one, and for a few minutes, if you can give me your thoughts, starting with Olu. Olu, let us know where you're joining us from, and where what your thoughts are about learned helplessness. Let me see if we can. Can you unmute yourself there? Uh, if you can't, what I'm going to do is, because we have to do it differently since Layla is with us here, I'm going to hit the queue because I think you may have been the first in the queue. We have actually looks like Leslie comes up first. No, not Leslie. Lindsay Inger. Thank you for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about learned helplessness. Welcome.
Hi, I am in the Philadelphia area, and my job is computer security.
Ah.
So, uh, one of the examples of learned helplessness I have is my husband. He has decided that he cannot figure out how to help book, a trip, book flights, the hotel, these things that need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm explaining to him, like, I don't have a magic wand. There's nothing in particular that I have that's different than anybody else. I have the different accounts that we have, Marriott, Hilton, blah, blah, blah. I have them stored, and I go in, I check the prices, and I book something. He's like, but you always say, that we would go somewhere different, or and I'm like, oh, like, there may be a particular reason. Like, for example, we don't try to book a hotel right next to the U.S. Open tennis when the U.S. Open is going, because we kind of doesn't want to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm trying to get him over that. I don't exactly know what suggestions there are for that. But the other example I have is at work, we definitely struggle as security professionals as far as training people about phishing, PHISH,
right,
ING, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're going to make a policy that says if somebody gets caught on the phishing test like 3 times and they get fired, well, you're going to have a problem, right? Because what's going to happen, you just completely disincentivize them from coming to you if they actually truly get phished, which we do need to know about, and we do need to investigate, and we do need to make sure all other thousands of employees don't get caught by that same phish.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you terrified them to the point where they will not come to you because they feel like they might lose their job, you're going to get shadow IT. You're going to get people that won't tell you about things that have happened until months later. And it's happened to 4 people because we didn't get it at the beginning, right? So we have to be really careful about what we incentivize and disincentivize.
Sure.
So that's what I have for.
Fantastic. Well, Lindsay, thank you very much, and thank you for being a longtime member, probably at least five years or more. So we appreciate you and appreciate you from time to time sharing. And so part of the thing that we have to do is reach out to those folks and give them that encouragement, maybe guide, like the example with your husband, for example. So just hold his hand and take him to maybe the various sites like Priceline, and some of them make it really easy because you can do a package deal. They'll find good hotel deals for you if you start off with just saying, hey, I want flight, I want hotel, I want a vehicle. And there are sites that I can get all of that done, as opposed to or him trying to do that separately. So just hold his hand, encourage, don't put him down, because what happens with learned helplessness is folks feel helpless around whatever, and we get on their case. It's going to discourage them, and they're not going to be incented to move forward. So, Lindsay, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for jumping on. We're going to go next to we have Layla. So, Layla, what I'm going to do is see if we can. I'm going to ask you to hit star 6 again if you get bumped off, because we're just hitting a button and we're getting the folks in the queue. So we have Leslie Flowers next, and Layla, hit that star 6 and come back in. There you are. Leslie, thanks for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about learned helplessness. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Well, Mercury is in retrograde, so it sounds like all the technology.
Leslie, she always says that when things go wrong, she says, Mercury is in retrograde, folks.
That's right. So you just don't worry about it. Just keep pushing on.
There you go.
Exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know what the world to share. There's so many things, but I guess as far as learned helplessness, what came up for me when I watched the video, Stanley, and let me just thank, by the way, Stanley, for being a sponsor of my Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern Live, Mind Over Matter Mondays.
Yes.
My work is, if you don't know me, is in thought dynamics and thought mechanics.
Yes.
Anyhow, what I was thinking about was, as a boomer, when I was married for over 30 years, I never did the books. I never paid the bills. At that time, it was, the man's job. So was it a learned helplessness or a lack of learning that caused helplessness? And the other thing that really struck me, and then I'll end because I know I want to hear what Layla has to say about this. But I noticed that from a 30,000-foot view, when I was watching this and listening to your show, is that there is biomimicry at work here. Like, we are waking up to what nature already has been doing. And we see this in a lot of ways. We learn through repetition. And with this work, with power thinking, it's really important to focus on one of the lessons in consistent spaced intervals over time. You don't just do it once a week or once a month. So it's that repetition. Even in animals who have no conscious awareness that we're aware of, they already know, right, what to do. We have to teach ourselves. So it's natural for them. But for us, we have to teach ourselves and intentionally think repetitively to mimic and to use the existing beautiful, natural way that was already provided to us. So thank you. I know that. So thank
you. I really appreciate that, Leslie. And let's move next to. We have Carla Hill. Carla, thank you for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about learned helplessness. Welcome.
Yes, it's great to hear all the power thinking family, and Leslie and everyone else. So, Carla Hill in Philadelphia. What came up for me as I watched the video is just my own experiences in terms of weight loss. I'm not naturally thin, and I could, or healthy or overweight, whatever, right? I wanted optimum health, and I've always had the challenge of being overweight, obese, and releasing 100 pounds over the past 4 years. It's the opposite of learned helplessness is helplessness is, and resilience training is help in terms of this. I may not be natural. I mean, to Leslie's point, I have to unlearn some things and believe that I can be at a healthy weight with the proper diet, exercise, support, resilience, and experiencing the same thing as in human resources we call transferable skills. So those skills the resilient skills that I'm picking up in terms of that challenge. And it's an everyday challenge. We think it's a finish line, but there's really no finish line.
Yes.
It's one day at a time. And my challenge was, it's not really a challenge. I was embracing technology as I transitioned from full-time employee, part-time practitioner, business owner to full-time business owner, and knowing that the technology and the efficiencies and administrative things that were my natural thing. I love it in terms of other people doing it and the benefits from it, but being a person that's doing it, technology is really set up for the user, but just leaning in. It's not that I'm helpless. Oh, I need my IT help. Yes, no. You are the IT helpers. So doing that intentionally and knowing that I can do it, right? It's not that helplessness. So the learned helplessness is applying it to myself.
Yeah.
And on a regular basis. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carla. And as we are closing out here, Layla, I wanted to try to get, let's see if I can unmute Olu. I don't know what happened there. We've gotten everybody else, and I'm just afraid that, so Layla, if you're bounced out, just come right back in. I'm going to try to get Olu up. Olu, you may have to unmute on your end because when I hit the next button in the queue, you're still muted. So attempt to unmute. And in the meantime, we'll go to Timothy Butts next. Timothy, thank you for joining us. I see you're on LinkedIn making comments and on the phone lines. Let us know where you're joining us from and your thoughts about learned helplessness. Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, this is Timothy Butts calling you from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm here for a technology conference.
Wonderful.
And yes, part of the joy of presenting is being able to share some of the wonderful things we learn here. So know that you're on blast today. I will be sharing with the BDPA organization what we are learning, and particularly learned helplessness is such a condition. As things change around us, if we don't know that we also need to change and be self-aware and have self-efficacy as we make those adjustments. So those are the things that I've learned and trying to master in my daily life. But as I mentor technology people, even mentor doctors in their innovation journey, I let them know that they also need to grow and adjust and not allow learned helplessness or the basic routine of what they may be stuck in to limit them or to limit all of us from moving and being more progressive.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Timothy. You were just in Philadelphia a few days ago. You're a world traveler. You were with your sons. Hope that went well. And, and then off traveling again, making a difference in the world. Really appreciate you and all you do. Going all the way back to helping to create a champion, when he was in elementary school. And we did that a few weeks ago. So appreciate you. And thank you very much. We're going to go next to Layla to wrap it up. Olu, we have some technical difficulties. If you can just type some things there in on LinkedIn, that would be great. Layla, any final words and how can people get in touch with you?
My final words is I appreciate all of the callers who have said everything, and everybody. Most people struggle with learned helplessness at some point, but some of us try to coach people and help them to unlearn that helplessness. So one of the things that you do in unlearned helplessness is building self-confidence and helping students and people build that self-confidence. You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. It's Layla Llewellyn, Leila, and the last name is Llewellyn. And I really appreciate being here with you this morning, Stan. And I encourage folks who are visitors, who are not Power Thinking members, to please look at Stan's orientations for Power Thinking, because it's a great organization. It's a great way to change your way of thinking. And I can't go into everything right now that power thinking does for me, but it's really wonderful, and I'm happy to be a part of this family.
Well, thank you